Okay, so here I have a composite that with all the layers that I need in. So like I said in the previous video, you can either set up your composite with your render layers, combine it all together into a file output node, and then render your scene through here, and then render the composite at the same time. Okay, or you can take each one of your render layers and passes, render them out separately, and then recomposite it, and then render out the comp, which is what I did. Okay, so here I've got all of these passes here that I've rendered out of my composite. While I was rendering the scene, it saved each one of these separately, and then there's my background. And then I just kind of put those back into the composite. So now I don't have to render the scene when I render the composite. It goes a little bit quicker. I also had to composite this somewhere else, so I needed those files. So it doesn't matter how you do it. You can either render out your composite while you render out your scene, or you can do it, render out the scene first like I did and render the composite. Okay, so here's the composite with everything that I've done in it. So the first thing I need to do is render this out as the final thing. Okay, so I've got a file output here, and on this file output I called it final comp, and I make this RGB. I don't need the alpha channel anymore, so RGB. I don't need 16-bit anymore, so I go to 8-bit PNGs. Okay, then I just call this file final comp, and I need to tell it where to save to. So I'm just going to delete that one frame. Just I already rendered out a frame earlier. Okay, I'm going to render it to that folder there. Then I just need to make sure that my output is set right. So full HD. My frame range 50 to 100, which should be the same as here. I'm just going to go to frame 50, so I'm at the right place to start with. The output here doesn't really matter. I do point it somewhere, just in case Blender wants to know what's going on. But it shouldn't render this if you have, if you want to render your scene and composite at the same time, then yes, you need to tell this where to render. If I've already rendered, that I did in the last video, if I've already rendered out my scene, then I don't want this to render, then I just make sure that I don't have a render layers in my composite. Okay, so render layers is what it brings in automatically. The stuff in the previous video I used the comp with. If you want to render this and your composite at the same time, then yeah, you have render layers. If you don't want to render the scene again, make sure you don't have any render layers. Even if this one's just floating here, it's going to try and render your scene again because it needs these things. Okay, so delete any render layers if you already have your frames rendered out. Okay, so I don't need that. I'm just going to ignore that. Everything else should be fine. I just have to now hit render. So I'll go to render animation. And if it doesn't render, it means your composite is switched off. So other post-processing compositing needs to be switched on. Okay, but it should be rendering now. And it's rendering a black frame. That's normal. Okay, it's not actually showing the composite because this is the process in the scene. So, okay, it also didn't. I'm just going to point this to somewhere else. Just to make sure. There is already a render. Okay, new folder is fine. Okay, I'm just pointing that to somewhere too. Okay, then render animation. Okay, you'll see at the bottom there it's showing the render tab, so you know it's at least rendering, but it's going to render a black frame based on the scene settings because I'm not actually rendering the scene. So it renders that black frame and then compiles the composite. Let's go back, new folder 1 was. Okay, there it rendered that. Okay, so now we'll go through and render all of those guys out. I've already done that. So it's already on 52. It'll just move through all the frames and keep rendering them. There's the next one. Okay, that will take maybe 20 minutes or so. I've already rendered them out. Once you've done that, that's fine. You're done with this composite. You can save the scene and open a new scene. You can't, sorry, not yet. Okay. Now I need to also save out all the frames that I need for the breakdown. So these are still frames. I want to go to a frame where I can show all of my layers properly. So like frame 64, if you just wait for it to composite, that monkey that's got the depth of field and the blur, the motion blur and stuff on it will be in frame, and that's a good frame to use for my breakdown. Just give it a second. I'm just going to delete the ones I made earlier. Wherever they are in there. Okay, so it's updated that frame. So the first thing I need is the background. So I'm just going to press Control Shift and left click on the background layer. If that doesn't work because you don't have Node Wrangler active, then you'll have to either activate it or make a viewer layer for that. But yeah, just activate Node Wrangler, Control Shift and click. Okay, that gives me the background image. Then I want to save this image out. So press F3. At the top it should say save this image. If it doesn't, just go type in save this image. It will say Node, save this image. Click on that. And then I can go to a folder, breakdown. There I'll save that 01 background. Give it a number so that you know exactly what order these things have to happen in when you put them together. 01 background plate. Okay, and at the side here it asks you what format you want to save. So PNG is the default, so I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, the next thing I want to bring in is probably my character render. So I'm going to go to my mix, color over node. So that's why it's important to name these things so you know what is where. So Control Shift click that, and it should bring. Just wait for the composite at the bottom here to come to finalize. Okay, and that brings in the monkeys and everything before that. So I don't actually want to, in this layer, show everything. So I'm going to go backwards and deactivate things that I want to see. Okay, color correction. I'm going to press M. That will mute it. Switch off the color correction. Reflection plates, the reflection in the water there. Press M, mute that. Shadow over, M, mute that. Vector blur, mute that. Defocus, mute that. So that's everything that happens before this color over. Okay, so now if I wait for the composite, it should update. Oh, it has updated. So it's just the color render with the fire. I'll press F3 again, save that image as 02 color render. Okay, save that. So because I plugged that into the viewer there, I don't actually, with Control Shift, I don't have to mute anything after that. I'm not seeing anything after that, just the things before that. Okay, I'll go back to the color correction, press M, bring that back in. F3, save image. This is 03 color correction. Okay, the next one I want to bring in is that reflection plate. So M to unmute that. F3, save this image 04 reflection or reflection plate or whatever you want to call it. Next one is my shadows, so M to bring back the shadows. They're very subtle, but I still want to show them. So 05 shadow. Okay, next thing I want to bring in is my motion blur. That is just something I had in my comp that I'm actually ignoring. I'm not using anymore, so that's why they're muted. So vector blur, I'll bring that in. Give it a second to composite. Those are things that take a while. Also make sure I'm not, like curved is switched on. Okay, that's switched on, and on defocus that preview is switched off. That just gives you better quality on those things. Okay, F3, save image. This is 06 motion blur. Okay, next one is the defocus, so I'll bring that in. M to unmute it. Give it a second to composite. Okay, and F3, save this image. That's 07 depth of field. Okay, the next one is this ambient occlusion, so I'll Control Shift click that one. Okay. Okay, save that out. 08 ambient occlusion. Okay, the next one is my fire grade to make the fire a little bit brighter. Okay, F3 to save that. It's 09 fire grade. And the last one is my color grade. Okay, F3, save that as 10 color grade. Alright, so that's all I need from this scene. I'll save it and open a new scene. I'm going to go to video editing. Open a new video editor. Alright, so I'm going to put the breakdown together in here. So to add things to your timeline, you just like adding anything in Blender, Shift A, and I can bring in image sequence. So go to that, the final comp you rendered out, so that is final comp render, and press A to select all of them, add image strip. So now if I play this, it's my final shot. Okay, then I want to duplicate this, so I'm just going to copy, paste, and I can click and drag to move it. You can also press G and move it like anything else in Blender. I want to stop this at the frame where I did my breakdowns, which is frame 64, so that's 14 frames in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, I want to cut that there. So I can either just click on that end point and move it to there, or I can just press K to cut it and delete the second part. So now it will play my shot, play it again, and stop at that frame. Okay, then I want to pause it, so I'm Shift A, bring in another image sequence and bring in just that frame on its own, and then pause it for a while. Probably want to pause it for like 2 or 3 seconds. So if I've got this clip selected, I can go to time, and the duration is there, 26 frames. Let's make it 48. That's 2 seconds. So then it will play my shot, play it again, and pause it there where the breakdown's going to happen. Okay, then I'm going to start putting in like wipes for these breakdowns, and I want to use about 7 or 8 frames per wipe. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frames from the end of that one. I'm going to bring in the first breakdown image. So that is in renders, breakdown, background plate. I'll add that in, and I want to wipe. So at the moment, it's just going to cut from the one to the other. I want to wipe in from the one to the other. So select the one you want to wipe from first, so the bottom one, the background. Shift select the other one, the background plate image, and then Shift A, add transition, wipe, and it will wipe over those few frames that they overlap by. Okay, so that wipes out. The next thing I want to do is put in, tell your viewer what are they actually looking at. So I'm going to Shift A, add a text layer, put the text at the top, and on this text I'm going to type in, so at the top it's, if you have the text layer selected, that's its name. Down below effect strip, that's what it actually says. So this is background plate. I also want to make it a little bit bigger, so 48 or so. Move it, want to align it to the right, so it's always going to, all the text is going to line up on that side. Then move it to the edge there, a little bit higher, to a nice position. Okay, I also want to change the font. So in Blender, if you click on font, there's nothing there. So you have to go and open a font. And if you've done it earlier, it will go to your font folder. But if it doesn't, you can find that under your computer, local disk, Windows, fonts, and then you can just drag any one of these in to open that folder. So I'm going to use Arial. So just drag that in. Okay, so Arial and then it changes the font there. You also have a shadow, so switch that on so you can read it on whatever color. There's a shadow color you can change, but all that should be fine. Okay, then this background plate I want to, let's say, about 3 seconds long. Is that too long? Let's try 2 seconds, see how long that is. I think 2 seconds is fine. Then again, about 7 frames from the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll extend the text to there, and then bring in the new one, which is to color render. Add that. Select the bottom one. Select the one above it. So select the background plate, then the color render. Add. Oh wait, before I do that, I actually want to change this transition. I don't want it to wipe from the top. If I want to change that, I'll select that and go to Effect Strip Wipe. So it's got an angle. I can change that to 90 degrees, and then we'll wipe from that side. If I want to wipe it from the other side, I switch to in. So it will wipe in from that side to that side. Okay, so I just want that direction on the wipe. So select the background, select the color strip, Shift A, transition, wipe, in 90 degrees. Okay. I'll copy and paste this text layer and put it in there of the next one, and then just change this text to color render. Again, I know that that would be the length I want, plus 7 frames, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, then bring in the next one. Shift A, image sequence, color correction, select both of those, add transition, wipe in 90 degrees. Copy and paste that text, put it there. And this is color correction. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'll also have to extend my timeline, so I'm just going to add a few more frames to it. Then bring in the next one. Reflection. Okay, and it's literally just repeating this process. That is wrong because I selected the wrong stuff. So select those two, transition, wipe, that's better. Then 90. Copy the text. This is reflection. Next one is shadow. Transition wipe in 90 degrees. This is shadow. Okay, motion blur. Okay. Next one is depth of field. Okay, I just want to do all of them so show when I render out depth of field. Ambient occlusion. Okay. This is ambient occlusion. Fire grade. Okay, and last one is color grade. Okay, you might have different effects, or you might not have all the ones I have, so you just need to show me what you did in your composite to get to your final effect. So if you don't have reflection plates, then leave those out, or if you have an extra effect or something, you can add that in. Okay, so this is color grade. Okay, so that would play. It's not going to play in real time because of the editor, but that would play my shot, then pause it, then stop wiping in background plate, color render, color correction, reflection, shadow, motion blur, which I need to just put in title caps, depth of field, ambient occlusion, fire grade, color grade. Then at the end, I'm going to copy and paste my final shot again. Okay, just going to paste it down there. Okay, now because it was paused at frame 64, I'm just going to go in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 frames. I think it's there. Cut that with K and delete that front part. Put that there so that it would. There's one frame too many. Okay. So that it would just start playing the animation again, and then just copy and paste it in again, play it at the end one last time. If I drag this front part out, you'll see it stops that purple color where there's no more frames left for it to show. So I'll just drag that in there. Okay, place that shot again. I'll put some text on that shot. Just see here, there's a frame missing. Okay, do that. And this I'm just going to call, you can put it in the beginning as well, but this is final composite. Okay, that should end it off. Color grade, play the shot again, and then final composite, play it one more time. Then at the end here, set it to frame 606, that's how long this thing is. And now to render it out, I'll bring in a new window, change that window to properties, okay, and then let properties go to the printing menu, full HD, all that should be fine. Check your frame rate range, so 1 to 606, 24 frames a second. Output, let's put it on the desktop for now. 24 frames, okay, I want to save it as an FFmpeg video. Under encoding, it should be MPEG-4, H.264. If you have audio, you can switch the audio to AAC or MP3. So you can add audio to your shots by Shift-A, bring in sounds. If you want to put some sounds in your shot, you can only put it on like the first shot and the last one. It doesn't have to be during the breakdown, obviously, because it's paused. So you can add in sound, but I don't have sound in here, so leave that off. Then all that should be fine. Then I just go to the top, render animation. It should render out this thing. So it renders the shot. Then the shot again and pauses on that frame and starts wiping in all the effects. So background plate, color render. Oh, I didn't give it a name, so it's going to name it temporal title now. Reflection. Okay, so that would have saved out there. So now I just named it the frame range because I didn't give it a name. But here's what I rendered earlier. So that's what you hand in next week. Next week Sunday. Week 7. That's cool. You can have another week. Okay, so that's what you handed.